What you need to write to get out of survival mode. Hey, my dear, I am leadership development coach Kathy Archer and author of best-selling book, Mastering Confidence. What I know for many women leaders is that you hit a point in your career where you feel in over your head and you're wondering if you have what it takes to lead. In my courses, in my book, in my coaching, I give you the inner and outer tools to turn that around so you can move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and your life. Today we are talking about what you need to write to get out of survival mode. So each week I am here doing Facebook Live sessions for you to give you some of those inner and outer tools. And so before we get there, I want to tell you that today's session is sponsored by Blueprint for Change. Blueprint for Change is my online course for discontent women leaders who long for a different experience of leadership and life. When you enroll in Blueprint for Change, you start to create a process and get the motivation for taking those steps necessary to get you out of survival mode. And so you start to create your unique blueprint so that you can strategically change the direction of your life, moving from sort of today's dismal reality that you aren't so happy with to the desire that you really, really want. So go to the notes on the side. I want to tell you, go to myblueprintforchange.com, but it's not working. I don't know why. I'm fixing it, but that's the general note. But in the notes here, I've added a link so you can go to My Blueprint for Change, get your name on the wait list so that when it opens up, you can register for that. So while we are getting started and getting people online, I'm going to share this broadcast into my Confident Women Leaders group. While I am, what I want to know in the chat box is a number between 1 and 10. How often do you hang out in survival mode? So 0 is, no, I'm never in survival mode. And 10 is, I am constantly in survival mode. So a number between 1 and 10, while I share this into my group. If you are not a member of the Confident Women Leaders group, there is a link also in the notes for you to join the Confident Women Leaders group. It is a group of women leaders who are also probably like you, struggling with leadership, trying to balance life, trying to figure it all out and manage everything. And so together we are doing some exciting things to connect with each other. This week we've been having a fun game going on where we have 4 conversations happening between, I think there's at least 10 people in the group that are really actively involved every single day in answering those questions and starting to grow their leadership. So if that's something you're interested in, make sure you join the group. Today, what do you need to write to get out of survival mode? Well, let's back up a minute before I tell you what you need to write. What I want you to think about is survival mode. I keep talking about survival mode, and I want you to kind of think about what it means for you. So what I thought I would share today is just a couple of things that I often hear from ladies when I get on a call with them or when they first start a course with me. And just some of the language that they use can give you a sense or tell you where they're at. So I had a phone call the other day with a client and I said, "How you doing?" And she said, "Limping along." What does limping along mean, right? Or I'll get on the phone with somebody and I'll say, "Hey, where are you at today? What's going on for you?" And they're like, "Oh my God, and then they start listing all of the things that they're doing. Often when I start coaching a client or start working with a client, for the first few sessions, that's kind of the energy that I get at the beginning. They are frazzled, they're overwhelmed. They start the call and they start talking about the current crisis that they're dealing with. They jump from one topic to another. They can't kind of settle in. And you can just hear the discontent that they're feeling. They're overwhelmed. They're exhausted. They are talking about how they don't have the energy at the end of the day. They're not focused. They're not getting the priorities done. They're angry. They're frustrated. They're kind of hanging out in that place where they're just not so happy. I've heard things like, I'm run off my feet, or lots of times when you kind of are in survival mode or you're kind of at that place where you're not feeling so good, you're sick, you're unbalanced, trying to juggle everything. And so that's kind of that survival mode place where you're just surviving. You will say things like, "I'm surviving," or "I'm barely hanging on," or "there's so much to do and I can't get it all done." And what many women want is to get out of there. I have women that are in my Confident Women Leaders group. I have clients sometimes. I have people in my courses that don't get out of that survival mode. They stay there. And yet there are many, many more that I work with that do. And so when they get out of that survival mode, I start to hear a shift in them. I start to get a sense of different things. And they will come to the call, or they will answer questions in the group with a different mindset, with a different energy. They'll come to the call, same thing, there's a fire, a crisis, something's going on, but they've already started to think ahead about how they're handling it differently, how they can approach it, rather than just like, oh my God, here we go again. They're like, you know what, I'm struggling with this and I need your help to shift my perspective. Or I've noticed that there was this issue happening with that same boss that's driving me nuts, but I didn't take it so personally, or I didn't get so caught up in it. And you can hear that shift, and it's so, so exciting for me when I start to notice that. My guess is that's some of what you're looking for, is that shift from the exhaustion, the overwhelm, the barely hanging on, surviving, just getting through your days, to actually thriving and feeling more energetic, feeling like you can handle the challenges that arise. I wanted to read you a couple of comments from people who have finished the Blueprint for Change course. One client said, I am so much happier and feel that there is hope and life to look forward to. How optimistic is that, right? Just by starting to do some of these things, she started to make some of those changes. Somebody else said, my anxiety is decreased. I know life is more positive. And here's the catch. She goes on to say, I still have to deal with those who bullied me every day. Bullied me, yes. Lots of us women struggle with bullying at work. But I do not have the same anger towards them. I have better acceptance of myself and the direction as to how and where I want to spend my energy. There's not time wasted thinking about them and giving my power away to them. How empowering is that statement? That's pretty cool, right? That somebody was feeling bullied, feeling like a victim, going through their days like wrapped around that problem, couldn't get away from it. You know, it kept hitting her. And yet when she started to make some clear changes, things happened. Another lady said, honestly, I feel like it brought me back to life out of the overwhelming work forest. That made me, and she puts overwhelming work forest in capitals. Like, no kidding. Don't we hang out in that zone of there's no way we are ever going to get through our to-do list. There's not a chance that we're going to finish everything. And how do we get out of there? And so what changed for these ladies is that they took action and they created a plan and they started working the plan. And so that's what you need to do as well. You can hang out in survival mode for the rest of your career life if you choose to. But if you want to start making some significant changes, you have to create that plan. You have to start taking those steps. And so what is it that you need to write down to get out of survival mode? You need to write down your plan. If you keep it up here, it's not going to happen. If you keep it in this kind of wishful state, it's never going to happen. You have to sit down, grab a piece of paper. I love my Sharpies. Grab a piece of paper and write your plan down. What is it that you are going to do? What is it that you're going to change? What are the action steps? Who do you need to talk to? What habits do you need to create? What's the mindset shifts that you need to make? What are the things you need to stop doing? What do you need to start doing? That's a plan. So if you want to increase your confidence, maybe you're not feeling as confident as you'd like to as a leader, how are you going to change that? You can't just get up every morning and say, I'm going to be more confident today. That's a start. But believing is only halfway there. You then have to take action steps. What are the action steps you need to take? Maybe you're going to read Mastering Confidence and work through the course. Maybe there's a level of competency that you need to have before you can feel confident. So maybe you need to take the course on managing and supervision. Maybe you need to go learn how to speak better. Maybe you do need to sign up for that little mini course on how to run better meetings. Maybe you need to finish reading the book on conversations. What's it called? Damn difficult conversations. No, oh no, I almost had it. There's a book out there that everybody keeps talking about. Courageous Conversations. Nope, still not it. It'll come to me. But maybe you actually need to read that book. If you don't create a plan that says, I'm going to read Kathy's book on mastering confidence, and I'm going to read this other book on courageous conversations, and I'm going to schedule that in for 10 minutes every morning, you know, at 11 o'clock or whatever time you're going to do it, and I'm going to finish it by June 30th. That's a written down plan. If you don't have that, chances are you're not going to make it through the books. Chances are you're not going to increase your level of competence, and you're not going to feel more confident. You have to write it down. Maybe the thing that you're working on is work-life balance, and you're feeling off all the time, and you're feeling like you're frazzled, and what you know is a couple things. One, I need to eat healthier, and two, I need to get better sleep. Great, good things, but what are you going to do about them? What's your specific plan for eating healthier and getting more sleep? And how are you going to do that every single day? So some people need to set a timer to go to bed earlier. You know, we can get lost in Netflix or scrolling through Facebook, and before you know it, it's 11 o'clock or 12 o'clock, and you're still sitting up. And you had every intention of going to bed at 10, but you kind of got sidetracked at 10 o'clock. If you set an alarm on your phone at 9:30 to go have your bath, brush your teeth, set out your clothes for tomorrow, put your briefcase by the door, there's a chance you're going to get to bed by 10 o'clock, and there's a chance you're going to have a better night's sleep so that tomorrow you feel more refreshed. But if you don't sit down and write that plan out, and you don't create that strategy and then start taking action on that, chances are it's not going to happen. Maybe the thing that you want to do is work through a specific project at work that's kind of, you know, overwhelming, difficult. You're not getting it done. You're not finding the time. So maybe what you need to do then is create your plan, but write your plan out. Let me tell you, when you actually write it out, there is a much better chance that it's going to happen. When you sit down and say, this is the plan, okay, this is the project that I'm working on, and it's, you know, this big project, and these are the steps, the smaller pieces of it. I need to have this meeting, I need to complete this document, I need to fill out this form, I need to have this conversation. Those are 4 different parts of that project you need to work on. Which one needs to come first? You know, often what we do is we have all of these things roaming around in our head, and they're taking up brain space. Just like too many tabs open on a computer, that's what's happening. I need to have that conversation. I need to have that conversation, but I also need to fill out this form. But you don't need to fill out that form until you have that conversation. Write that down. Here's the order I need to do it. Here's the timeline. I need to have this conversation by the end of next week. I need to fill that form out by the end of the month. Great. Now schedule those into your calendar. That's a specific plan. Write it out. Get clear on what needs to happen in what order, what's the deadline it needs to happen by, who do you need to ask, and when are you going to do that? When you write that plan out, and it does not need to be fancy, ladies. Literally, many of my plans are Sharpies and blank pieces of paper, or sticky notes, pencils. Grab a Google Doc or open up Word and just write down the different things that you need to do. That's it. Don't make this more complicated than it is. But if you're going to start to make some changes, writing it down is the critical component. Maybe there is a relationship that you're struggling with. Perhaps that's your marriage, or a friend that you're having a relationship issue with, or your child, or maybe it's somebody at work. And maybe there's some stuff going on that's just festering. And it's, again, taking up a lot of space in your day. You're thinking about it lots. You're triggered by it lots. It's causing you to have reactions that you're not so happy with. Maybe it's created some health issues. You've got stomach problems, lots of headaches. Wishing it to go away isn't going to change it. Pretending it's not there isn't going to change it either. What will change that relationship that's gone south is when you create a plan to change it. So when I was having difficulties with my marriage, what I did was I decided I was going to get some coaching, and I decided I was going to read a couple key books, the 5 Love Languages and Why Men Need More Respect and Women Need More Love. I think those are the 2 books. I'll try and remember to share them after. Those were the 2 books that I read, and I got some coaching. I knew that my marriage was important to me, but I knew that I wasn't getting specifically what I wanted out of it, and I knew I wasn't giving what my husband needed either. So I sat down and I'm like, so what am I going to do differently? If I'm not happy with the way things are right now, what can change and how can I change that? And when I sat down and said, this is what I need to do, this is when I need to do it by, and this is how I'm going to do it, that's when things started to change. If you want to get out of survival mode, if you want to stop feeling that, the energy is being drained from you and you are barely hanging on, you need to sit down and write yourself out a plan. What is it that you're going to do? How are you going to do it? When are you going to do it by? And what is it? Hey, Miriam, good to see you on today's call. What is it that you're going to do? What's the specific strategy? What's the plan that you're going to take? And then write it down. Survival mode sucks. It sucks the life out of us. It sucks the energy out of us. It sucks the creativity out of us. It is a draining place to be and not such a good spot you want to be. Better late than never. As always, Miriam, you know as much as everybody else does. If you miss any of these live sessions, ladies, they are always up on Facebook as a replay, and then they're also on my blog. So if you go to silverrivercoaching.com/blog, you can scroll down and find all of the Facebook live sessions that I do, as well as the guide sheets, which reminds me, today's guide sheet. There's a link today for the guide sheet. It is the 5 missteps or mistakes that women make when they create a plan to get out of survival mode. This baby is 7 pages long, so this is not a short one. This is a lengthier one. If you want to get out of survival mode, you need to sit down and write out a plan. But what happens is many of us make some mistakes when we're writing out that plan. So if you want to make sure that your plan does not make those mistakes, go grab the download today, the 5 missteps that women make. And then in that download is also the corrections to do. So this is really going to help you take those steps to get out of survival mode. And I'm looking at all my notes. I have all these papers. Have I said everything that I wanted to say? It's going to really help you do the things you need to do to get out of survival mode. So if you're ready to take some action, decide what area it is that you want to make that change. Don't grab everything under the sun and say, I'm going to change everything about my life. Be really specific. Pick one area. What is it that you want to make some changes in? What maybe is going to have the biggest impact in your sort of state, moving you from surviving to thriving? Remember systems theory. Back in school, I remember systems theory. It's like the pebble. One thing dropped in impacts everything else. Or if you don't like that metaphor, think of the baby mobile hanging over the kid's crib. If you touch one of those little things hanging, everything else moves. That's the same for you. You don't have to change everything in your life. You have to start in one tiny area, and it will have a ripple effect out on everything else. So think about what that area is that you want to make those changes. Write that area down. Then break it up. What is the smaller pieces? What are the steps? What order do I need to do those in? And when am I going to do them? And then start taking action. If you want to really, really shift out of survival mode, you need to write your plan out. Do not keep it up here. Do not keep it in here. Don't keep it up there, wherever there is. Get a piece of paper, write it down. That's what's going to make the difference for you. If you have any questions, if you are on live now, or if you are on the replay, ask me any questions. I am here to answer them. Make sure you go get the download, the 5 mistakes that women leaders often make when they're trying to get out of survival mode and they're creating their plan. That's going to help you make sure that you don't make those 5 mistakes, and it's got the corrections in it to get you there. If you are looking for more help, remember that Blueprint for Change is the online course for discontent women leaders who long for a different experience of leadership and life. And that's where you're going to create your plan in much more detail. I walk you through creating that strategic plan so that you can really start to change that direction. And it's your plan. It's unique. It's unique to you, and it connects you to what's important to you, why that's important to you, the ways that you make changes, because this is the thing. we need to create our unique plan. The same plan isn't the same for everybody. If you want to lose weight, your plan for losing weight is not the same as my plan, is not the same as my dad's or the lady down the street. Everybody's plan is different. And that's the thing that you have to remember. When you're creating your plan, make it unique to you, make it specific to you, make it workable to you. If you're just sort of grabbing a quick plan off the internet for working out or how you're going to supervise staff differently, you gotta adapt it to fit for you. Make it unique for you. That's what's gonna help you do that. So decide what you're gonna change, the tiny little piece. Write down your plan. Don't leave it up in the air, floating around. Grab a hold of those specific strategies, write them down, and start taking action today. If you want to make sure that you don't make the mistakes, go grab the download that's in the notes on the side and start to create that life you desire. Start to get out of that, oh my God, I have no energy, I'm floundering, I'm falling apart, I feel like I'm dropping balls every day, I'm struggling, to, hey, I did manage my day. I handled that conflict with ease. I didn't take it personally. I have some energy to go to paint class tonight. I'm more excited about going to work every day. That's that thriving place. And I know that you want to be there more. If you want to move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life, write down your plan for change. Write it down, write it down, write it down. And, you know, if bonus points, write it down frequently. Go back and every single day review it and write it down again or make some notes on it. That's really going to pull that in and really help you move from surviving to thriving in both your leadership and life. Thanks, ladies, for listening today. Go make the rest of your day awesome.